Top stories on this edition of the WINN TV News. A call to conserve more water as more developments come to St. Kitts. SIDF Board resigns, and constitutional expert advises team unity on the experiences of the People's Partnership in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to the WINN TV News. I'm Andre Huey. The board of the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, the SIDF, has resigned, with the exception of one councillor, according to reports reaching WINN TV. More in this report from Tony Frederick Armstrong.
Details are sketchy, but WINN FM has learned that they were not formally asked to resign, but did so after hearing an interview with Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, in which he made a general call for members of boards to resign.
The political appointments should voluntarily tender their resignation and give the government the opportunity to determine whether their services will be required. Board membership, by and large, in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis, is a political appointment. And the decency whenever there is a change in government is that those who are political appointees would resign their position and not even allow themselves to be asked. Of course, in that context, in the USA and the UK and elsewhere, we have found that the incoming government may find that these people who have been such professional servants of the nation, that they may want to continue. And so we would want that pattern of high etiquette and ethics pervading in the minds of those who are political appointees. No government will allow itself to be hamstrung by the political fanatics and the political people who a past administration may have preferred their confidence, and the government reserves its right to review that.
WINN FM understands that the sole SIDF board councillor who, as of Sunday, had not tendered his resignation is Mr. Hesketh Benjamin. According to the SIDF's website, the other councillors were Ambassador Rosalind Hazal, Mr. Joseph Edmead, with Caribbean Financial Associates Inc. serving as secretary, and Mrs. Hermia Morton Anthony as chairperson. The Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation is funded by monies from the sale of passports through one arm of the country's Citizenship by Investment program. The unity government has pledged to bring the SIDF under parliamentary scrutiny.
In more news, with the increase of development projects from foreign direct investments, the need to conserve water is important, notes manager and engineer at the Water Services Department, Denison Paul. Speaking in commemoration of World Water Day, Mr. Paul tells WINN that some 1.5 million gallons of water will be needed per day with the increase of developments on the island.
The developments that are on stream now, including Petition Hill, Park Hyatt, Coy, and those developments, they require another 1.5 million gallons per day. That water has to come from somewhere. The responsibility of the Water Department is to manage that resource and manage it in a sustainable manner. And so we now have to look to new sources of water to meet this demand. But what I can tell you is that the lowest hanging fruit is the water that goes to waste. Some of the reason is that our infrastructure is old, some of our pipes are break, and we have more leaks than we should. But that is not the main problem. The main problem is the wanton waste of water by our residents.
Mr. Paul explains that despite the Water Services Department's attempts at stressing the importance of conservation, there is still a lot of waste, especially among some government institutions.
It also has to do with the fact that some of our government institutions in particular are the main culprits. Go to any school, go into any hospital, and you would see water being wasted. But the Water Department has been working on a program to meter all of these government facilities, these public facilities, so we can be in a better position to monitor how water is used in those facilities.
Mr. Paul discloses that there are several cases of persons stealing water without paying for it by tapping into the government main.
Capture meaning there are sometimes illegal connections. People somehow are able to connect into our mains. There are other water sources which the Water Department do not tap into. And there are folks who attempt to illegally tap into those sources and use the water.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
WINN FM's mission is to contribute meaningfully to the information, awareness, and the development of our nation and the region through the building of educated and informed communities. WINN FM faces the issues squarely, without shying away from controversy, while striving continuously to provide balanced, responsible reporting.
Better music, better talk, better radio. 98.9 WINN FM.
Welcome back. The experiences of the People's Partnership in Trinidad and Tobago can help the new Team Unity administration in Bastille avoid obvious pitfalls, according to constitutional expert Dr. Hamid Ghani. Ken Richards has more.
The governing coalition in Port of Spain has had its share of problems and used as an example by Team Unity opponents who suggest the coalition in the Federation will not last.
Well, you see, the easy part is winning the election because you have a common enemy and you're fighting an election and you have a message and that's your message to remove the government in power. The real challenge is when you are in power and you have to make public policy choices. You have to have a level of consensus and internal discussion that will hold you together, because you can't go into a coalition arrangement trying to think and work at it as if you are a single party.
According to Dr. Ghani, compromise is a key component of a successful coalition.
If it is you go in and everyone has a separate identity, you have to adopt a different set of leadership skills to be able to engage in dialogue and discussion among separate entities so that you come to a consensus on public policy issues, on appointments to state boards, ambassadorships, and various other issues such as those, so that there has to be a spirit of compromise that is going to run all the way through, way beyond the election. In Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa has done that to a large extent by holding the coalition together because there were many who thought that it would have collapsed. There's only one entity who left the coalition, that was the Movement for Social Justice. They left around 2012.
The Team Unity coalition comprises the People's Action Movement, the Concerned Citizens Movement, and the People's Labour Party. They took 7 of the 11 seats in the February 16 general election. PAM got 4, the CCM 2, and the PLP 1. PLP's Dr. Timothy Harris is Team Unity leader and the country's new Prime Minister. There were frequent predictions from the then governing Labour Party while Team Unity was in opposition that the coalition would not last. Dr. Ghani says there will be difficulties, but they can be overcome.
Caribbean leaders have been given a vote of confidence by activist David Commission. He commended Caribbean leaders for forging ties with Cuba and Venezuela without being dictated by either countries. More from Ken Richards.
A vote of confidence in Caribbean leaders coming from activist David Commission. The Barbadian lawyer was commending Cuba and Venezuela for leading the charge in helping countries in the region focus on the question of sovereignty and why they should not be compromised. Commission says while that should be admired, it doesn't mean that CARICOM states, for example, are letting Havana or Caracas set the agenda for the rest of the region.
The leaders of our countries have always understood that we have to work out our own solutions. We have to work out our own systems. I mean, Errol Barrow stood for that. Michael Manley stood for that. Eric Williams stood for that. You know, the political and intellectual leaders, our group of New World thinkers. So the critics that make those kind of puerile statements are really doing a gross disservice to the Caribbean, its intellectual and political leadership. Yes, we have made many mistakes, and we are guilty of many deficiencies, but we have never felt that we could not look at our own reality, and whether it was Michael Manley in Jamaica, whether it was Forbes Burnham in Guyana, Barrow in Barbados, Maurice Bishop in Grenada, we never felt that it was beyond us to work out our own institutions, our own political systems.
The lawyer activist also argues that CARICOM heads are not keen on adopting autocratic practices and behavior.
We don't slavishly follow anybody. Cuba does not set the agenda for us. Venezuela does not set the agenda for us.
To end the WINN TV news, a look at the headlines. SIDF Board resigns, and constitutional expert advises Team Unity on the experiences of the People's Partnership in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Andre Huey, and this has been the WINN TV News. Thank you for watching.